Okay, there was some technical issue, so we will start again the lecture. Today's lecture is on Shigella. As I was telling about the last week's lecture about the Salmonella, where we have seen that the Salmonella is one of the important species which causes the enteric fever, diarrheal disease and septicemia also. Similarly, the genus Shigella contains fewer species than as compared to the Salmonella, and it is very complex in the antigenicity. Usually clinical dysentery is caused by Shigella, Salmonella, Entamoeba histolytica, which is a parasite, Proteus morgani, which is again gram-negative bacilli from the family of Enterobacteriaceae, and of course there are few viruses which are also involved in the dysentery. This Shigella dysentery species was isolated by scientist Shiga from Japan in 1898, and because of which the genus name was given on the basis of that scientist name, that is Shigella. There are 4 species in the Shigella genus: dysentery, flexneri, soni and boydii. Shigella soni is a late lactose fermenter and other 3 are non-lactose fermenter, purely non-lactose fermenter. Shigella soni late lactose fermenter, why it is? Because the lactose fermenter requires 2 enzymes which are produced by these bacteria. One is the permease and second one is the beta galactosidase. Beta galactosidase enzyme is within the cytoplasm and permease is on the cell wall of the bacteria. Name itself is telling you that it permits the sugar to enter into the cytoplasm or protoplasm. Thereby, once reached, these beta galactosidase will ferment that sugar. So what has happened? This Shigella soni does not have the permease enzyme to permit the sugar inside the protoplasm, but they do have the beta galactosidase, which other 3 are not having this beta galactosidase enzyme, which is actually required for fermentation of lactose. So what happens if you keep the Shigella soni for a long time in a sugar medium containing lactose? By just diffusion method, this sugar which is outside the bacterial cell and which is there in the environment will start percolating inside the protoplasm through the porins. And once the sugar is available inside the protoplasm, the beta galactosidase which is present inside the protoplasm will start degrading the sugar. And that is why Shigella soni is the late lactose fermenter. The Shigella has been classified into mainly 2 groups. One is the non-mannitol fermenters and second one is the mannitol fermenters. The non-mannitol fermenters is Shigella dysentery, while mannitol fermenters are rest of 3: flexneri, boydii and soni. Coming to the morphology and staining. The morphology, there are 5 points which we generally cover in the morphology, that is the Gram's nature, and here they are gram-negative bacilli, short rods of course, because of which you have width and length 0.2 to 0.4 and 1 to 2 micron in size. They are non-motile, non-spore bearing and non-acid fast, and they do not have capsule, which we can see in some other organisms. Coming to the habit and transmission, Shigella species are found only in the human intestinal tract. Carriers of pathogenic strains can excrete the organism up to 2 weeks after infection and occasionally for longer periods also. So what we have seen in the last lecture, that is in Salmonella, there was also one Mary Marlan, which is a chronic carrier for Salmonellosis. Similarly, you can see carriers in the Shigellosis also. Shigella are killed by drying. Shigella are transmitted by the fecal oral route. So if the Shigella is contaminated with the food, then person who is having that food might suffer from the dysentery. The highest incidence of Shigellosis occur in areas of poor sanitation where water supplies are polluted. That's why in developing countries the dysentery is very common, which we don't see in the developed countries often because their sanitation practices are in place or perfect. Coming to the cultural characteristics, as I told you, in cultural characteristics there are again 4 points which we need to remember when we are attempting the cultural characteristics. One is the requirement of oxygen. Majority of the organisms are aerobic to facultative anaerobes except the Clostridia, which are strict aerobe, and there are certain non-sporing anaerobes like Porphyromonas, Prevotella, which we have studied in one of the lecture also. They are the strict aerobes, or minute traces of oxygen can also be tolerated by those organisms. They grow very readily on the ordinary media. They grow on MacConkey agar, blood agar. On MacConkey agar, they produce the non-color colonies because of the lack of lactose fermentation. And once you get the colorless growth, you must perform oxidase test. If the oxidase test is positive, it is Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Plesiomonas aeromonas. But if it is oxidase negative, then it could be Salmonella, Shigella, Proteus, okay, or Acinetobacter. So once this is non-motile, so the Salmonella and Proteus are motile, so it can easily be differentiated from those two. But what about the Acinetobacter? Acinetobacter is a totally non-fermenter. They do not ferment any sugar, and they are cocobacilli in nature and in shape. So we can easily identify on the basis of gram stain also. The temperature range is 10 to 40 degrees Celsius, but optimum temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, and even of course pH is 6.4 to 7.8. Only except Vibrio cholera, which grows better in the alkaline pH. Along with the MacConkey agar, blood agar, we can also use Salmonella, Shigella agar, and XLD agar, xylene, lysine, and dextrose. They appear pink. The colonies appear pinkish to reddish on the XLD agar. Coming to the biochemical characteristics, they ferment glucose. As I said, glucose is the simplest form of sugar. So they ferment glucose, and dysentery ferments the mannitol, and rest of them are non-fermenters of mannitol. They do not form acetyl methyl carbinol. Urease is negative, so they do not hydrolyze urea or liquefy gelatin. They are citrate negative. Citrate is one of the important tests which consists of in the IMVIC test. So citrate is negative, and in TSI, triple sugar ion agar, you will get a red color slant but yellow color butt. So it is anaerogenic fermentation. Coming to the pathogenicity, Shigella dysentery produces a powerful exotoxin. It is associated with epidemics of bacillary dysentery. Acute gastroenteritis, which is accompanied by the abdominal pain and diarrhea. These are the signs and symptoms of dysentery or diarrheal disease caused by the Shigella. As it progresses, diarrhea becomes more frequent and usually accompanied colicky pain. Later, diarrhea loses its fecal characteristics and is followed by mucus with pus and blood. This is a typical characteristic in the stool sample of dysentery patient caused by Shigella species. It is accompanied with the fever also. Pathogenesis of Shigella, you can see in the pictorial diagram. Shigella bacilli are taken up by the M cells in the large intestine by the endocytosis. What happens next? Bacteria are quickly released from these endosomes and leaving Shigella free in the cytoplasm. The bacteria multiply and enter the inferior and lateral aspects of epithelial cells. Usually they are engulfed by the macrophages later, but these organisms may escape the phagocytosis by the macrophages, and they establish and they cause the diarrheal disease. The bacteria multiply and enter the inferior and lateral aspects of epithelial cells. Actin filaments quickly form a tail and push the bacteria into next cell where they multiply. And here generally macrophages will engulf the Shigella and they kill and release that. What happens? Sometimes they get released from this macrophages, or the infected cells die and slough off. From there also the inflammatory response occurs, which is responsible for the other signs and symptoms such as bleeding and the abscess formation. Laboratory diagnosis. As we have seen in the previous lecture also, there are 4 points which we need to consider when we are talking about the laboratory diagnosis. First and foremost is the specimen collection. In the specimen collection, we usually use collect the stool sample from this patient, and then We do microscopy here. There is no role of microscopy. We directly go for the cultivation and cultivation of the bacilli from the stool specimen during the first 4-5 days of the disease. If you want to prepare the smear and stain with the gram stain, you can prepare and see the morphology of the bacteria, which is not that helpful, but you can perform as a routine practice. And then you can inoculate specific tests such as triple sugar ion agar to see whether alkaline and acid reaction is there or not without H2S gas. And of course indole methyl red is also put to see whether it is positive or negative. Serological examination with polyvalent and monovalent antisera is helpful to identify this species level. See, this is the chocolate agar, this is the MacConkey agar, where you can see, now you can see here little pink color, but you can see the colorless colonies also. If it is not that clear, we'll show you in some in the practical also. The biochemical characteristics of Shigella based upon the fermentation of glucose, mannitol and lactose. All species of Shigella ferment the glucose. As I said, it is the simplest form by the production of acid. Mannitol is fermented by Flexneri, Boydiani, Sony and not by the dysentery, while lactose is fermented late by the Sony. So this table will explain how to identify different species of the Shigella on the basis of these three sugar fermentation. Coming to the treatment part, water and electrolyte replacement is the key to treat these patients, because there is a loss of water from the patient body. So we have to replenish the water by adding the electrolytes. Antibiotic therapy is required to eliminate the organism, because the patient might turn out to be carrier. So antibiotic therapy will help to eliminate the organism. Due to the emergence of resistant strains of Shigella, antibiotic sensitivity must be performed on any Shigella toxin. It is very important to perform the antibiotic sensitivity, as there are certain reports which have been published that the Shigella has been shown to resistant to commonly used antibiotics to treat the shigellosis. Isolate to determine suitable antibiotics. Also, it helps in the which is the suitable antibiotics through the antibiotic sensitivity testing. Sulfonamides, tetracycline, chloramphenicol, ampicillin and streptomycin are the known to be effective against the Shigella. So these are the drug of choice if Shigella dysentery is there. Points of identification between Salmonella and Shigella. How will you differentiate? Because both of them are non-lactose fermenting. It means that they are producing the colorless colony and MacConkey agar. So what are the different features by which you can differentiate between the Salmonella and Shigella? Generally, disease is caused by Salmonella is typhoid fever, while in Shigella it is the bacillary dysentery. If you consider the motility, Salmonella is motile, while Shigella is non-motile. H2S is produced by the Salmonella and it is not produced by the Shigella. Triple sugar ion agar reaction gives alkaline by acid but gas, plus indicates the gas. Here alkaline by acid but there is no gas. Nature of infection is systemic and it is gastrointestinal tract only. Immunity is lasting. In Shigella the immunity is short period. Metabolite, it produces the endotoxin. Salmonella produces the endotoxin, while Shigella produces the endotoxin as well as the exotoxin. Endotoxin is nothing but the cell wall constituent of gram-negative bacilli is nothing but the endotoxin. But other than endotoxin, they are also responsible for exotoxin or Shiga toxin it is called as. This is all about the lecture of Shigella and Salmonella. I think we have done. We'll meet in the practical at 12 o'clock. And sorry for interruption. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. 12 sterilization disinfection practical hai. So it is more important, very important practical. So reach before 12 at 12 in the practical.
sir.